Hey, sixth graders, happy Thursday. Thursday the 20th. My goodness, we're coming down to the wire. Okay, so here's what we got for today. We got our spelling list number 5. We have our review questions for Mulala Yousafzai, which is what we did on Tuesday. We're going to go through a little art of questioning exercise with Mr. Slavey today. You're going to find out some more about me. And then the art of interviewing comes next. So here's the deal for today. This is our list. I haven't really done this before, and so I apologize for not kind of having a consistent system of showing you this. I mean, I've always had it on Schoology, but I haven't had it in the video before. So internationally nominated, threatened, continuing, popular, publicly scheduled, announced, journalists, wounded, Yousafzai, and inconvenient are our 12 words. And remember, our bonus don't count against you. They're just bonus. So if you can spell Mulala's last name correctly, or you can spell the word inconvenient, which isn't tremendously hard, but it's still decent, that's bonus points. So we talked on Tuesday about these concepts of questioning. There are levels. I can ask you a bunch of questions that are kind of level surface, then I can go deeper, then I can go deeper. And the whole point of this is we want you to always kind of go deeper. You get more information. That's how the world works, okay? And I kind of did the same thing over here, and I gave you some stems. So here's how you kind of start some of those questions. Now, you could still ask a level 3 question stem and get a level 1 answer. So if I said, what would happen if I died, right? You could say I'm dead. I mean, people can answer simple, but how you frame the question can always get you more information. So here's what we're going to do, or what we did, and I want to see what you came up with. If you're with us in Zoom, we'll do this. If you're just watching this video, then it won't be something you can share. But the whole point was that we're going to, in class, come up with all these questions and see where we got. So level 1 questions that people asked about Mulala, level 2, and level 3. Then we're going to practice on me. All right. I'll pretend that we're going to get some information from me. So if you are watching this video, then you won't hear my answers. So that's something you can't do, but it could be something that shows up later. Because here's the deal. Shallow answers come from shallow questions. So if you think about this, hey, Mr. Slaby, is that a film director? That's a statue in my room. Yeah, I could say yes. There's no story there, right? But if you said, hey, Mr. Slaby, how would you explain the story behind that filmmaker guy statue? Well, that's an interesting story. So you asked in a way that forces me to answer deep. Another shallow question would be, hey, Mr. Slaby, is that a real Oscar? I could say, no. Or is it? I can be a jerk. And then you don't know, right? Or I can go deep. Hey, Mr. Slaby, what is the relationship between you and that Oscar statue? Well, that's an interesting story, right? See how you ask questions, get answers. So in school today, we're going to do some kooky and crazy because it's the end of the year and we are starting to tackle COVID. The interview primer exercise, I'm going to send students out to interview people. Now, you have access to this document, so I want you to go to Schoology and grab it. But you may not, obviously not in the halls. If you're watching this video, you are not here. So you have to look for your own adults. So what I would love for you to do is if you are at home, look for an adult in your house. Hopefully there's some stories that you don't know yet, or maybe in your neighborhood or a relative. Whatever you can do, you're trying to look for 2 adults, okay? And you're trying to get a name and then some sort of interesting story that comes out of that interview. Now, how do you do this? All right. No matter whether you're in school or not, first of all, you have to observe and analyze. So you got to look and see who seems available, right? If someone's in the middle of something, you don't barge in and say, hey, can I interview you? No, or like even if they're, in the middle of working in the neighborhood around you. So you got to see if adults are available, accessible, and free to talk, or you got to find the moment to jump in there. You got to approach with humility. This is how you get things. Be nice, and you get people to do things for you. If you come in hot and heavy, like, hey, I need an interview, people will be like, whoa, right? If you want things done, you approach with niceness. So I might say, excuse me, do you have a moment to answer a few questions? All right. The person can say no. It's an invitation, but they might like love that you ask that way. And they might say, hey, Sure, anything. Or, hi, my name is blank. I'm a sixth grader and I'm looking to interview someone for an ELA project. Are you available for a few minutes? Notice how, like, you give them some background and you say, are you available? And they can always say, no, I'm sorry. It's up to them. That gives them the power. That's how you get people to do stuff. And lastly, in our room, people will work in pairs. You may not be able to do that. So one person talks, the other person writes highlights. You're not looking for a full interview. You just want some highlights, like important moments. Like if I give you a story about hitting Jennifer Aniston in the head, and I really did, you might write Jennifer Aniston hitting head. That's all you need to write, because you're going to go back and interview someone more later. All right. You only need the basic facts here. The full story will come later. Okay. Now, lastly, how to get your story. So on the document I gave you, this is again sort of a script that you can read, but these are our 6 questions. You can come up with your own. You have the power to ask what you want to ask, but these are good possible questions. And frankly, if you want to know more, there's an art of follow-up. So if you hear something interesting, you could always say, like, tell me more about that. I want to know, or you can ask more specific questions. If I tell you I hit Jennifer Aniston in the head, then you could follow up and say, like, well, when did you hit her? And what was the story behind, like, why you were even there to hit her in the head? See how, like, I got to give you more information. So you can always follow up. So, all right, there you go. That's the work for today. What I want you to submit today is a copy of your question. So I should see a screenshot or a link in the Google Doc to this where I see some stuff written down. Okay. All right. We'll hopefully we'll talk about this tomorrow.